All right. Welcome, everybody. It is Sunday, October 26th, 2025 at 8 p.m. on the dot. As I'm joined by tonight co-host Gavin, as we are stuck in a time loop. We are stuck in a time warp as OU finds a way to lose yet again in the Brent Venables era, a winnable game as OU drops their second game of the season against number 8 Old Miss 20 26 to 34. I will say, Gavin, that Teddy and Gabe beat me to the punch. And I was going to say good teams find a way to win, great teams find a way to cover. And the same thing can be said about the Brent Venables era because good teams find a way to win and bad teams find a way to lose, and there is no other way around it. And I think we all have to come have a Jesus take the wheel moment. Everybody, you need to be trusting your eyes at this point and just say the things out loud at this point. Brent Venables is a loser. There is no other way to spin this at this point. I feel like I said with the time warp time of thing, not related to Halloween, just kind of like a Groundhog's Day reference. I feel like it's 4 years in. Time's up, Brent. Why are we still making rookie head coach mistakes with clock management? Why are we still unable to make the personnel changes that need to be done? Because right now, yes, we can say top to bottom that there are going to be things that, yes, the defense is where it needs to be. The offense is not. And Scoop pointed it out that this is the single most important piece of your job at this point, and all you did was replace one guy on there, the play caller, and you need to replace the entire dang offense. And I said it many like wasn't even the one, as far as we're still aware. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Gavin. As far as I'm still aware, Brent was forced to fire Luttrell. This went beyond him of a no, dude, you're not keeping Luttrell. I believe that was big money donors that forced their hand on that, as well as the administration, because things were going south. And look, I
It,
understand that there are things that have been happened beyond his control.
Mhm.
I understand that Jackson Arnold being misevaluated is beyond his control for that, because I've even felt bad, like, man, he just didn't have the weapons. He's just not having development. I mean, I'll say I was wrong. Jackson Arnold is a horrible quarterback who probably needs to go to D2.
yeah,
And I've been saying that as far as what, last week, the week before
yeah,
that, that
yeah.
like he got benched at Auburn. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know if he was just a great high school quarterback and he just threw up on himself. I don't know if he's not putting forth the effort. That's kind of a whatever though. That's an Auburn problem, but it's a at some point you have to trust your eyes of what you're seeing on the field.
Yep.
And what we saw yesterday is the epitome of the Brent Venables era of, well, we're almost there. Time's up, Brent. Like, what first year you get the excuse? The cupboard was bare. I understand that uh there are things beyond your control that it takes a little bit to build that up. You got your mulligan, but stuff is not improving. Game time management is not improving. Why is penalties happening left and right like nobody's business? Little things that keep adding up where, again, good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose. Now, I also understand too that, and I've said this, I said this with Texas last week. You were on live stream with me several weeks ago when I said
Yep.
this as well, that I think Brent Venables' tenure here in Oklahoma is going to be a it's going to be a mixture between John Blake and it's going to be a mixture of Gary Gibbs. And that, yes, are things working beyond Brent? Sure. I will happily say that. I will happily say, like, yes. At the same time, though, at some point, you have to look at the whole of like, it's also the administration. Like, dudes, we saw yesterday, like, where we are lacking deficient in the SEC, and it's very blatant. Like, oh, well, the admin doesn't want to overpay for wide receivers. You don't get that choice anymore, guys. You're going to have to overpay for wide receivers to get the talent here in Norman. Because guess what? If you don't now, guess what? You're going to have to overpay anyway.
Yep. You are.
It's the admin's problem at this point. I said it though with Texas that I feel like Bob, he feels like late game Bob, where Bob I think could win games and he'll bring you some good wins, but he's not going to take you to the promised land. I have no faith in this team to get to a playoff under Brent Venables, let alone win a playoff game. I feel like we have taken Texas A&M's spot on the roller coaster where Brent Venables starts off hot and then falls apart in conference play. And we've seen it. We've seen that ride every single year, and that we all got a little worried deep down that, oh, I hope Michigan is not like Nebraska. Now, Michigan's a lot better than Nebraska, but point
Mm-hmm.
that yes, this is also a week to week in the SEC. I understand that. And I know I'm saying I understand that a lot because I do. There are things that I do get. It's the game of football. But what I don't damn understand, Gavin, is how I can sit right here and say, as a casual fan, because I mean, casual, I live stream, you get it. As someone who is nowhere near like on the level of some of these coaches making 6, 7 figures, why is it that I can play NCAA football, college football, whatever, 25, and make better play calls than what we saw yesterday of, oh, we're going to run east west with a running back in the end zone and potentially, possibly, maybe give up a safety. I'm not
I
talking about oh, hold on. I'm on my roll. I gotta get this off my chest because I was there yesterday. I gotta get this off my chest.
okay.
So again, I understand that and like I said, an East West. I don't know the player development stuff. That's not my forte. That's not my science. I get it. And there can be things that can be said about that. But at some point, bro, why is it that I can call a better play call than that? And like I said, I understand in some aspect of why uh, we did the quarterback draws. I get it because the O line is trash. I understand why we're calling it, but at some point as well, when X Rob is uh, doing fantastic, why are you calling quarterback draws? Like yesterday, Gavin, I thought I was about to lose my damn mind when people said there was 4 minutes on the clock. He has the 2 minute timeout. He has three timeout or a 2 minute, whatever. And the timeouts, we have enough time to score. I went, are you guys insane? Under this offense, under this head coaching administration, from the last 3 quarters you saw, what evidence do you have that is going to get that? No, there's not enough time. You would need a full quarter and a half because every yard is a struggle with this team, just like last year. Every yard is a struggle. And guess what? They didn't. They didn't make the field because as much as Lane Kiffin tried to give that game away too, because yeah, there was problems. We can't capitalize at all. There is no easy on anything on this offense, and it boggles my mind how we can't get even the simplest stuff. And some of it, yes, some of it is well, we just don't have the personnel. They're injured. Some of that, cool. But then it also goes to it's obvious that X Rob is better than Corey. Why is DeMarco holding him out? Like I'm ready for a complete. I know they wouldn't fire Brent this year unless he went like 5-7, 6-6 type of deal for it because there's a lot of head coaching jobs about to open up at this point or are already open. We're kind of stuck. But if you're going to make the Brent Venables experiment work, you have to get rid of the entire offensive side of the staff, minus Arbuckle. I had problems with what Arbuckle was doing yesterday, but I also understand it's 6 games in. But then again, I have a problem with because they hired him because it was air raid. Get away from the damn air raid. The air raid doesn't work. It's a band aid to a basically my arm is off. It works when you got the personnel. It doesn't work when you don't. And we saw that yesterday. Everything people have been saying, whether it's been John Mateer is a very mid quarterback, all the way from Washington State, where people said he's not nearly as this dynamic quarterback as what y'all think. Even under a better system, he's kind of mid. And they said when he's genuinely behind, he gets deer in the headlights, and we saw that. We saw the hero ball yesterday. We saw Mateer fail. We saw Arbuckle unable to commit to the run, especially in the last 4 minutes. Like I'm ready to push him down a flight of stairs, him and Venables both, and just go, darn, should have planned better, guys. Like I'm just repeating myself over and over. Like it's deja vu, Gavin. It's deja vu because he's 1-10 in these games or 1-9. It doesn't matter. He has a
110.
horrible track record in these games, and people can make excuses all they want. yes, there are going to be things like Sean where he says like the rest don't matter. Gabe and Teddy said, yes, that call against Jay, I think it was Jay Jackson. Yes,
Jay
that did
Jackson, yeah.
matter. That did matter yesterday. The point of the matter is, can you tell me straight right now that you expect OU to win any other game on this schedule, the remainder of the season? I have zero faith that they're going to win against Tennessee. I have zero faith they're going to win against Missouri, whether their quarterback is out or not for the rest of the season. I think they are much more competent on both sides of the ball. I have negative thoughts that we're going to walk into Alabama and win that game. They'll make it competitive, but they're not going to win it because the offense can't score worth a damn. I have zero faith that they're going to beat LSU, whether Brian Kelly's there or not. They can at least still score. We haven't scored over 30 points against a Power 4 team, Gavin, since 2023. Who's the other two I'm missing on this list? Or 6, 7, 8. It's 4 more. I don't think we're going to go over 6-6. And that is why, Gavin, I said this to Swiggy, and I stand by this to this day. Sean had a tweet many, many, many months ago that said, would you take 9-3 as a guaranteed with a potential going into the playoff? Or would you roll the dice? And I said, and he will remember it, and I stand by it. I said I would roll the dice. I don't want a 9-3 with it. I want what this team actually is right now, so we can finally decide: can we please move on from the Brent Venables experiment, or are we finally going to see stuff happen? And the reason why I say this is right now, all the stuff we're getting against Brent on certain things, all doing is kicking the can down the road. Because you go 6-6, well, you have the Arbuckle mulligan. You still got to get rid of staff guys. You still have guys who are not pulling their weight on the staff at this point. Again, what have you done to prove that you should be here? DeMarco hasn't. He should be gone this year. Well, I'll start with the worst offender, Joe John Finley. How many times have we said on this live stream he is a waste of space on this live stream? His tight ends suck. They are throwing out things that are not going to work. Jared Kanik is a great story. It's not the long-term solution. How many times have we said DeMarco? Yes, some of it is dependent on the O-line, but how many times have we said that he doesn't have the running backs prepared? And now again, why is Xavier Robinson being held out? Are you that much of a hard ass, DeMarco, that you're not going to put your players up for success because you're failing the team at that point? Yes, Torrey was a great story. He is a great running back, but at that point, that's on you, dude. DeMarco, clean it up, dude. Bill, if there's one guy I would say I'm very wishy-washy on, it's Bill. I still stand by, if you're going to do it, you get rid of the entire offensive staff. But Bill Beatenbow, I would still say there's a lot working against him because 2022, with Brent's first year, the cupboard was bare and Lincoln Riley left it horrible. There's no denying that. People have proven that of like, yeah, Oklahoma has not been going insane on that. I get that. 2023, you fell apart because Caden Green was supposed to be your linchpin for the offensive line, and he transferred to Missouri. So you're back to square one again. 2024, all the injuries again. You're back to square one. 2025, all the injuries again. You're back to square one. And you had to bring in, you got like Fasusi and everything like that, but they're going to take time to develop. And don't let me forget, Gavin. I'm going to ask it because it keeps forgetting, but I do not want to forget it. Just mention to me Fool's Gold because that's where I'll wrap up my rant. But just remember that for me, please.
Okay.
But again, so 2025, they still got to build it up. You're mirroring the exact same thing like Brent Venables at this point. How much of this are we going to say, Brent, at some point, it's on you as the head coach. At some point, my dude, that you have to step in and take responsibility for some of this. Like Emmett Jones, same thing. Like his wide receiver room has sucked. I'm not going to even say they're the worst defenders on the team, but there's no guy that stepped up. They're afraid to get hit. They can't do anything right. Like Deion Burks is a bust, man. Like that, we're seeing it. The eyes don't lie. And where am I going with all this, Gavin? Many people have promoted get in the water this year. Get in the water. This is a 9-3 team. And I've said this, and Swiggy will absolutely back me. I said, I am not getting on this because I don't believe it. I think it's fool's gold because I think what's going to happen is one of two things. One, this team will get to the playoff. We'll have Mateer maybe next year. And then the real cycle begins of, did this team really take the next step? Did they really take the next leap? after all the transfers and stuff are gone, or are we just replaying the Brent Venables roller coaster again, and all we did was kick the can down the curb? Number two was I also think it was fool's gold because I was like, if it's not and things go wrong this year, there's just not enough time to install an offense with the personnel that we have. I'm like, it's going to be one of these two things. Like, I'm not buying in. I'm not buying stock on this. And I'm ready for the Brent Venables experiment to be over. Again, Brent, thank you for your services. It's time to go find somewhere else. And I understand right now that's not going to be an immediate thing when you're competing against Florida, probably Florida State, LSU, Arkansas, Penn State. I get that. You don't want to be in that circle and only be like the third or fourth best job. I know people are going to say, oh, you would be the number one. Yeah, but some of them have a lot more money than we do and have a better roster at that point. And you still got to go find other people at that point. So that's where I've been in. I'm not in the water. I think this is a lousy 6-6 team. As much as I want the defense to be this best, I want the offense to be good. There is nothing they're doing to set themselves up for success. At some point, you have to start looking at the problem and stuff. It's Brent. Brent's the problem. And I'm tired of making excuses. I'm tired of trying to convince people like, no, guys, no, Brent needs to go, guys. He's a loser. So I need to get that off my chest because, like I said, I watched that abomination of an offense yesterday let us down yet again. And I'm not convinced that there is no hope that they're going to win 4 games. If it is, it's going to be exactly what happened against Auburn and South Carolina. They're going to be banged up and what's it called? They're going to be banged up and they're going to take advantage of that, but they're not going to score 30 points. They'll get to like 2. They will find a way to get 29.9. They will find a way before we get to a whole number of 30. But I don't have faith that they can win at Tennessee next week. Do they have the personnel? Yeah. But here's the thing. What to circle back as well, Gavin, on the 4-minute, what drove me nuts as well when people were saying we had enough time, guys, you are literally asking, okay? You are asking for people to do the team to do something that they've done one time under Brent Venables' entire tenure, and that was Dylan Gabriel against Texas on the game-winning drive. You are literally asking for a Christmas miracle. And I hate to tell you guys, Christmas miracles are in short supply right now because we're in spooky season. And I'm sorry, that's still about a month or two away. This team isn't getting into a playoff, which means it's a disappointing season. I think people built themselves up for it, but that means it's a disappointing season at this point. So what are you stuck at? Oh, the Alamo Bowl. Oh, the Gasparilla Bowl. Cool. It's not where people needed to go. How much more evidence, Gavin, do we need before we see Brent Venables is a failure? He's no better than John Blake. It's time to move on. And we shouldn't be scared to rip that Band-Aid off and start anew. And I get the state of college football. I understand, well, we have to pay more. We have to support the NIL. Then why aren't we doing it now? At this point, it's a go tamper like a champion, spend the NIL money, and get to that point where you need to be because fans are getting frustrated. We're at the point, Gavin, where even I've said they are playing with fire because this is the point where people are starting to discover, like, I don't want to go out into the rain. And kudos to the crowd. Kudos absolutely to the crowd that they showed up yesterday in the rain because guess what? We don't get a lot of top 10 games at home. They showed up, myself included. We showed up to there. We gave the support. But how many more of these stupid games is it going to be before it's like, no, dude, I'm not supporting this. I don't support the on the field product. It's garbage. We are at that scary point. And I get spending money is scary. I get that. Oh, well, you should have done this in the first place, guys. After what's it called? After lost my train of thought at this point. Just so many things from yesterday. And again, I want to emphasize to anybody who's watching this, I'm on a 20-minute rant on this. I've been boiling up a lot. It's not that you lose. You lose, it is what it is. You play video games, you're going to die in a video game level. Guess what? That's part of the game. You watch sports, hey, they're going to lose at some point. There has to be winners and losers. If you don't like that, then don't get invested in like anything competitive. Don't get invested in anything where you can lose on it. That's part of the game. It's not about that. Even with my stuff where I said, I don't think this team is this great team that a lot of people thought. I think it's a lot of misevaluation. Even then, they had a 3 games loss. It was going to happen. That's fine. It's how you lose. if we're just getting beat, and I always use the example of OU Texas 2008, where you just get beat. Yes, there are some stuff that does not go your way. You just get beat, and that's okay. It sucks. You don't want to lose that way, but at least you can say, hey guys, this is a competent team. There are some deficiencies at some point, but you lost. It's not absolute incompetence. It's not choosing the I'm going to run east west in the end zone and potentially cause a safety type of deal. So, Gavin, you have let me vent for the 20 minutes. I appreciate that. I had to get that off my chest, but it's none of what I've said is wrong. What is your take, Gavin? What is your instant reaction 20 minutes and 49 seconds into this live stream of OU Ole Miss post season or a post game of us again dropping a game we could have potentially won against an Ole Miss team who is apparently our rival. I don't know how. I guess we're competing 15-50 first in education, whatever. But what is your instant take from this? Because you can't, there's not any disagreement. Like, I think you and I are on the exact same page.
Yeah, I'm like, a lot of it was just dealing with the incompetence itself. And and yes, the play calling, I was puzzling through it all in. It's like when Xavier Robinson had that huge run and everything, why did we even get away from running the ball? The second part of it too, and I know you have no control with sometimes with the players over the field, but the problem that I also had to, and as you briefly mentioned on it, Mateer basically trying to play hero ball instead of basically getting what you need to do to just chunk yourself down the field. You don't have to get all big plays at once every single time. It's
Yeah.
just like one of those things to where you put yourselves in a situation to where you find a way to lose these games to where it's you're looking at basically the competence of the team as a whole.
Yeah.
And
I feel like, Gavin,
I
that
basically get
I
to the
gave
point
this
of like
I'm real fast. I was going to say, because I am getting things of reminded of it. Gavin, I feel like I'm playing Halo where it's like, all right, we finally took the lead. We have 35, 34 points, but if we can just hold on, group together, we can win the game. And then you lose the game because you find out one of your teammates went 10 and 22. Like, that's where I feel like we're at this point. Anyway, continue.
okay, I think the other part of it too, it was just like it's like how you said, yeah, you lose a game, stuff like that, and everything. And Mississippi and Ole Miss was just basically given every chance for us to basically win that game, especially in that third quarter where we just somehow decided to go lights out, and then we just couldn't clamp it down in the fourth, and we couldn't really even respond to that. Now, the other part of this too, and besides the whole competence part and everything, was basically the fact that it was basically being played full 11 on 11 instead of basically being what I call 10 versus 11, to where the quarterback for Ole Miss basically kept making plays and everything. Besides just a pass, getting beat one on one with our linebackers and just not being able to contain the quarterback and using the quarterback runs, which has been a big issue that I've seen with Venables, in the last several games and everything. Okay, like South Carolina was somewhat of a fluke because we know the O line was bad. But the fact is the fact, the issues with like quarterback runs and stuff like that have been somewhat of a struggle and everything where I get so irritated with that. That basically has been one of
Yeah.
the other issues to where I kind of get at. It's like, you know, you got to be able to have whatever personnel you can have to be able to stop that. And yet every time they could not stop it. And that's what drove me insane.
And that's circling back around to that because I think that's a great point, Gavin. I said this under Mike Stoops that at some point the dam breaks and it's time to go. Mike definitely overstayed his welcome. But I said I want to say it was about a year or two before he got fired. I said he is fielding some of the worst defenses ever. And I did the calculations. They were worse than John Blake's. They were worse than Gary Gibbs. They were bad. They were bad. And I said at some point it is on the coach because they are setting their players up for failure. And that's what happened yesterday in several of these instances. The players were set up for failure. Now, is it Arbuckle's fault that Mateer basically would refuse to look anywhere beyond the first read? No, that is not a failure on the coach. And I will defend that to the end of time. That's a failure on the tier of not going through your reads and trying to, like you said, and I said, playing hero ball, dancing around the pocket with happy feet, and not letting the play. There was no rhythm yesterday. It was basically, well, we're going to spit in our hand and hope and throw it out the wall and hope whatever sticks at this point. There was nothing. But then again, then I circle back to Arbuckle is some of the problem because why are we going out there with packages that we just don't have the personnel for? Why are we throwing in tight end stuff that we have proven time and time again they do not have the capabilities for? That's setting our players up for failure.
Yeah, and that's for the other point too. And I think what drives me crazy though was, I think the most part, and, and I know I'm going to be harping on this and everything. It was like, I can't remember. It was either like third down or fourth down. It was very close to the end of the game. You had Santega look like he was going to an end route, and then he had an out route that was going right there, and yet he decided to go to the huge seam route, huge fly down the middle and everything, to where he had the second, corner and the safety already over the top when Santega basically was the wide open choice. It was like you
Correct.
don't really need to be able to do anything like that. It's understanding the situation that you're in and not basically force it to where you're basically put yourself to where you turn it over on downs. It's just basically one of those things. It's like you can basically I can rather live, with like a few, I don't know, like 4 or 5 yard passes, being able to at least move the ball down efficiently. Even if we have to deal with some small stuff, the big stuff will come in time. You don't have to
Correct.
be able to do everything. And I think the problem is, it's like you feel like you have to be able to do everything on the offense, which you can't. I mean, look, after that, what was it, like that 75-yard Santega touchdown? The offense wasn't really even there. And that was because of it being a coverage bust in the secondary, which we all know the secondary was basically having issues in the first place. But the problem is, they basically were just kind of, doing what they can to make the secondary look good after that, which I'm sorry. It was just very, very irritating to see.
Yeah. And it's, again, that circles back to an incompetent staff that ultimately at this point, like I said, it's Independence Day where the aliens are attacking and Jeff Goldblum goes, time's up. Well, we don't have any more time, guys. Like, it's here. You're in the SEC stuff. You're in the grind. Yes, there is some stuff that yeah, you have to approach it during the off season. I get that. But you're not setting players up for success. These game plans are not working on the offensive side of the ball. On defense, yes, people are blaming defense. I don't. But defense took care of his
I,
job. My problem is when you have 1st and 5, this team has not shown to make deep throws or to make the big plays. Go for the 5 yards for the first down, guys. Like, why are we like? That's the thing I was gonna say. Quarterback, the quarterback draws the new jet sweep, and it's driving me nuts. But go for the easy stuff. Set yourself up for success. Get your people in a rhythm. I don't know if some of that is material has not been the same since after the Michigan game. It does seem like he is definitely off from after that game. Maybe he had more injury than what we thought. Maybe the thumb isn't, but like I don't think his decision making is based on his thumb at that point. But again, we're asking these players to do things they cannot do. And I hate the thought of, well, they just need to push themselves harder. That's not it. If this is beyond their capability, it's beyond their capability. Why are we not tailoring more simple things be like we were screaming last year at Seth Luttrell to do? Simplify some of it for the stuff to find success. We're not doing that. Instead, we find ourselves getting penalties on kickoff return or punt returns. Why is that still a thing, Brent? At what point is it, no, guys, this is on Brent?
and besides the penalty on the punt return, so too, our Mason Thomas, as much as I love how he was doing this season too, had a 3rd and 14 and basically, yeah, I don't know, basically lining up off sides. That was
Yeah.
another thing too that
And
really
that
kind of
was
was
absolutely
frustrating me.
killer.
I mean, it's just simple discipline that that you have, and it's like, as much as you want to talk about that, you know, that was the whole bread and butter. And then where is that discipline when you need it the most? And then
Yeah.
they were able to capitalize on all of that. That to me, I think, is the most infuriating thing. It's like, Yeah, good teams come over with penalties, just like what Sean says. But when you start self-inflicting yourself and everything, you're gonna lose every single time. It is hard to basically beat another team when you keep beating yourself.
Yeah, and it's just like last week where people were saying, "Guys, why are you freaking out? It's 6-1. Why do you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater?" Because we know what our eyes are telling us, guys. This isn't a year 1 or year 2 mistakes. This is year 4 of the same stuff, and all we're doing is delaying the inevitable of we know we're gonna get rid of Brent. He's probably not here in 2027 unless there is a massive turnaround on certain things. And guess what? Let's assume right now, again, you're playing the delay game. Year 1, Brent had his year. It's whatever. It's year 1. I'm not going to delve too much. Year 2, you saw a lot of increase. All right, you started bringing people in, you started getting the personnel. Year 3, you hired an atrocious OC who shouldn't have been hired in the first place because they refused to uh, do a proper OC search. So you had to settle. Yes, Arbuckle was settling, but you still had to fire him. And you went 6-7 last year. Then year 4, you're at where you're at because you were not allowing yourself to spend money for players that you need to in the portal or in recruitment because of whatever internal. If we don't want to overpay, which is bullshit in my opinion, you need to start playing, guys. That's what the system is. You need to play the game. If you're not playing the game, you're not going to win. So we're at that point. So we're at year 4 with it. Okay, time to clean house again, I guess, on the offensive side of the ball, which has been every damn year. So now Brent's on like 5 or year 6. Are we really going to like say year 5 and year 6? Like before we decide to be like, it's not working out. It's not working out now, guys. It's time to admit it. It's time to admit this is not working. Just like right now, where I keep seeing like next year is going to be definitely the closest year we've had since 2017 to run for a natty based on the schedule alone, sure. But with this personnel on the offensive side of the ball, no, it's not. It's so far from it. Like, we are at the same point, in my opinion, that we were maybe last year. I also have people keep on saying that I'm seeing in different like little threads, different chats that this is Brent Venable's best team according to what metric, dudes? Because the best team he had was 2023, and then it's a sharp drop to this year. That's a sharp drop. It's not even a close of, well, they're better. No, it's a sharp, significant, over the hill drop.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, it's already starting to be at a point to where it's like I am more nervous with our offense being on the field than I am our defense at this point, which is even
Yeah.
crazy to say. It's like when have we gone into basically the twilight zone and basically had a flip flop with like our offense and our defense?
Yeah. And I get people who say offense win you games, defense win you championships. I get that. But in a certain instance of right now, give me the offense because the offense can at least score points. The defense can't score points, guys. Yes, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not naive. You have to have complementary football to win championships. We don't have complementary football. Right now, you need stuff to at least give your defense a breather. Because, Gavin, the thing that upset me going into
Was
halftime
that amount of
yesterday,
plays?
the amount of plays, and guess what? 16 rushing yards. 16 rushing yards. Like, dudes, this isn't complimentary football at all. Why is this still not fixed? And like I said, I feel like a broken record. And I know other people have said the same thing of just like Sean on his post game of why? Why? I'm in the exact same reason. Why are you running east west in the end zone? Why do you keep doing quarterback draws? Why are you missing your wide receivers? What is going on in the background, guys, to make this team a failure? This should not be happening at Oklahoma. Are we
And
that scared of change, guys?
here was the other thing. Our center got beat almost every single
Every
time,
time.
which honestly it was like, okay, why are you not basically having your center getting help within the guards? That's the other thing
Yeah,
I'm also wanting to get at too. Because if your center's getting beat every single time to where the nose tackles on you or anything, then that should have been the first sign to do. You could do like basically a duo with your guard and center right there, and basically just at least try and go up the middle or something at least. That's what
yeah,
that should have been something that should have been done in the first place. You know, even if it was like some sort of zone or anything, you can basically do a chip with the guard and everything to just give the center some momentum.
Yeah, it's and they got beat yesterday. I was losing my mind on the O line. I lost my mind on the secondary where those big chunk plays, and they wouldn't turn around and look like, man, I hate to say it, like I kind of feel like Peyton Bowen's starting to be a bit of a bust with
Hmm.
just like at times where it's like, yeah, that's the guy we're creating. Then other times I'm like, dude is just not performing. And maybe it's just lingering injury stuff. Maybe they're scared of getting hit, but why is it that other teams can make it work and we can't? And it's like, I won't get political, but it's almost like the healthcare. Why is it the rest of the world can have good healthcare and the United States doesn't? I know that's an off-topic thing, but it's the analogy is similar. But the point remains. It's like, dudes, at what point is it like enough's enough?
And the other part of the issue that I was also having this fear about though too, it was like, are they really trying to go into this some sort of man, basically zone coverage and everything to where they keep the quarterback in front of you, or you want to just be able to play straight up man? Because it was almost like the secondary and the D line were almost like basically in two different wavelengths. And that part to me was what really infuriated me. When in fact that's how they were able to score their first touchdown, was because all the defense was not in tune at all.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just much. It was like as much as I hate using the Greg McElroy's analysis or anything. It was like if your defense is not in tune or aligned, basically, and basically you're over pursuing it and everything, it's gonna get yourself beat every single time. And that was basically the whole issue that I have.
yeah,
And it was just like we just could not get out of our own way, if anything, and that was the
yeah,
issue. Now it was funny though was that you know our corners at times, whenever they had one-on-one opportunities, especially with our freshman corner, was able to make some stops and everything, which was
yeah,
like, I mean, there was a few positives in there, but are these positives going to outweigh all these negatives and everything? I just don't see it, honestly. I mean, like you have a few bright spots, but it's like it's hard to see the bright spots when everything is just swarming all around you.
exactly. Exactly. What else? While I get my charger, Gavin, what else did you see from yesterday that was there any areas of even success outside of Xavier Robinson, in your opinion?
I mean, basically, it was like Santega basically is showing up who he wants to be more than anything and trying to show up on big plays. But the problem that I have with is basically having a punt return. Why would you have to decide to leap? Why do you have to basically get yourself leaping, especially in that punt return? That was the other thing I didn't really understand. You didn't really have to leap, and especially in the conditions that were not that favorable to do that, for one thing, and you don't even really have a players to do that. I mean, if you were trying to maybe was just doing like a little side hop or something, I would give a little leeway. But he was almost going like almost full hurdle when there was no one really to hurdle whatsoever.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like I'm almost like you're taking almost like somewhat of the good and the bad. It's like you're having so many all of these, and you're trying to get rid of all the bad stuff. But the more you try to change him, the more he wants to do the bad stuff. It's almost like basically where you're trying to basically clean somebody up, and all that. And it's like the more you push, the more that they revert back to their old habits. And I think that's the issue that I'm seeing, if anything, as well.
well, and that's why uh the running joke of the Santanga Wheel of Fortune, spin it and you'll get a result of it could be he has a great return, he has a fumble, he has a first down. You just don't, or he lose yards. Like that's why he's not the guy. He's not going to be the number one wide receiver.
Yeah, and that's where I'm struggling at, because it's like it's hard for me to see all that. And and it's weird because it's like I'm having a hard time, because it's like besides our Mason Thomas, who do I think is going to be the guy, that's going to be stepping up as the leader and the anchor in the defense? Who do you see that as that anchor?
defense wise, I feel like if you're talking you want a Stutzman level like vocal voice, I think as we get further and further in, I would say it would be David Stone probably because appears to be the guy who is taking the next step and is being the difference maker. The problem is you need that for the offense though to rally them and get them pumped and everything as well. At that point too, you also have to take risks of like, hey, you have to like for example, you gotta if you're Arbuckle, you gotta take shots deep downfield. You gotta keep the defense honest. You gotta do that. You gotta. I understand the theory of like why the quarterback draw was done as well, because you still want to show them you're gonna run the ball, but at some point too, you have to try other things just to mix it up. Hence why I go insane, like I said about why I feel like I can turn on my video game system and be a better coach than they are for half the amount of money.
Yeah,
I'll
and
absolutely go be a head coach for $500,000 and be a complete failure. But hey, at least I know I tried for it and I'm not making stupid boneheaded mistakes. Like I
yeah,
feel like a lot of this is from practice. Like they're seeing different things, but at some point it's a dudes. What are you seeing? You know?
it's like, do we have any? Do it's like, are you guys seeing something to where it's changing up? And one thing I'm going to say, if there's one touchdown, I kind of have somewhat of a and I don't mean a complete forgiveness. I only have a little bit of a forgiveness. It was basically the go-ahead touchdown, basically the way they scored because that tight end basically fell down to the ground, and it was
Yeah.
like they think he's not really going to be involved. It was almost like being like that hidden tactic, if anything. If there was maybe one touchdown, I would maybe forgive. It would probably be that. I mean, look, I know you don't allow the score, but when you score on a weird play like that, especially in the conditions like that, sometimes weird stuff is going to happen. I'm not really,
Yeah, and if it's
harp
the
too
same one
much, but
I'm
it's
thinking,
like,
yeah, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, Gavin, look, dude made a play. Yeah, yeah, he's a good player. At some point, it's a you're not getting burned. He made a play, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah. It was just like I just really felt like, if anything, that one was just like that was like one of those was like one of those fluke plays where it was just like, that was just the play call situation and just got lost in all of the shuffle. That was just one of those things to where from the play design and all that, because they had everybody covered out in that flat with first tight end that they've had. I'm sorry, I've kind of been bad with names and everything, but they kind of had they basically keyed off on over on that flat side, on over on the right side, and basically just had a little cross underneath where he got buried in with the offensive line falling
Correct.
down and everything, and then basically just got back up and was just wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna diss on the defense. When they basically, had a nice little design and everything, even though it didn't look pretty on
Correct.
paper,
And
but it still got that job done.
correct. I'm not gonna blame the defense because the defense they kept them pretty much until the end of the game, like below 20 points. I'm not gonna blame the defense. Like the defense is what we have said many times about the offense under Riley of they're doing their job enough to win the game. The defense is doing enough to win the game. That's where I'm also I get games are going to be a lot closer. The margin is going to be a lot thinner. But then again, I don't want to buy into that. I don't buy into well, that's why we're not getting blowout games. And I get that. I'm not talking 40, 50, 60 points. But then again, guys, how hard is it to get a competent offense who can move the ball to get like 5 yards? Like, it cannot be that much of a dang struggle for it. Like, look, I understand. Again, you people don't want to go through another head coach search. I get that. Give me a reason why we shouldn't. Genuinely, give me a genuine reason why we shouldn't right now.
Well,
Or
let's see. Let's see. We got LSU. I'm just kind of listing off what we have right now. We have, let's see who's in the mix. You have LSU, you have Penn State, you have Florida, and you might have Florida State probably coming up pretty soon as well. So you get nearly, and then you pretty much nearly all these programs right now that are in the big mix. And do you see Oklahoma being as the destination job for a head coach hire right now with all of those teams in the mix?
I think for some of them, yes. I don't know where we stand with Florida. I don't know where we stand with Penn State, but I would say over Oklahoma State, over UAB, over UCLA, over Oregon State and Arkansas. Yeah.
Even over LSU?
Yeah, I think so over LSU. Well, and the SEC, maybe no. Nationwide, maybe yes. But again,
Okay.
it comes down to what resources do you have? Is OU gonna, like I have hammered many times before, are you finally gonna open the checkbook up, OU, and do what's needed to make the team successful? I'm sorry, I get why they brought Jim in. Guess what, dudes? You're gonna be overspending. Congrats. You have figured out the dirty secret. You're gonna be overspending just like everybody else is. To buy a championship, which is what people are doing, you're gonna be overspending. The answer, and Gavin, just briefly, to answer a question I saw in the chat from Jimmy, the reason why the O line is getting injured is because I don't claim to be a technique person, but from what Gabe has said, what it is they are not teaching them to push on the O line where they are at right now. Some of it they're young pups, they're getting whipped. When you're like 200 and you're facing a 330-pound guy on the other side, yeah, he's gonna pancake you and you're gonna get injured. But the way it looks like right now, Bill is teaching. It's teaching them not to push. It's to hold your ground while it's leaning back. Problem is that leads to ankle injuries. If you don't get pushed, you get injured, which is why we have so many injuries on the O line. That also circles back to Bill of why things are very bad at the moment at O line because he kept guys around that keep getting injured that probably should have been cut um, last year. I'm sorry, Jake Taylor. Sounds like you're a cool dude. You should have gotten cut. Jacob Sexton, you sound like a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
You've been cut. You're taking up roster space. This is not, and I know that sounds very uncaring. That sounds very mean. Guess what, dudes? You're getting paid now. I don't care. This is a business. If this was scholarships and stuff, I'd be more forgiving. It's not anymore. Sorry, this is a business transaction. Go play for another team. Go play in D2. Go play in D3. I don't care anymore. Sorry, that's the
Yeah.
nature of the game. Whether people like that or not, I don't care. Like that's the reality of the game. And if I have to be the person to say like the dirty truth out loud, that's the truth. So, but that's why the O line is injured and everything for that. Um, I think there's been I think the other part too is people don't. Again, Gavin, how many damn times have I said I feel like teams have still not figured out how to use the transfer portal and that you still need to go recruit guys and that the transfer portal is to fill like basically what we do in fantasy football. It's to
Well.
fill that one little week where it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're on a bye week of I just hope we can make it through. It's not to replace an entire unit. That's the problem. They're using these for
And
entire unit. That's not it, boo-boos. It's
I
not.
I think the biggest problem is like, do we still have any sort of regulations besides within the own conferences itself and everything how to deal with the transfer portal? Because right now there's not really a whole lot of regulation, which has been the issue more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm just going to point this out because look, and I'm just going to say this. You're going to have players like LSU, Florida, like I said, Florida State when the time comes, and all these other schools are basically are in the transfer portal because they have the rule and everything like whenever the head coach is gone, the players can have immediate access to the portal. You know, and so
Yeah.
that creates a lot of other issues that kind of go on
Well, not
within all this.
not anymore, but
But you understand the point though.
yes, I do.
It's
Yes, I
just
do.
yeah. That's even though they're still there for the season and all that and everything, they have the quick option of like, oh, okay, so your head coach is fired. Okay, you can go ahead and get yourself in the portal because we things didn't work out and all that stuff too. So there's a lot of issues that are kind of going within all that too, which I think I understand the benefit on all of that and everything else though too, but it's like you're really kind of putting these players in a weird tough situation too to where you're giving them more and more access.
Correct. And I want to follow up with what Jimmy was asking in the chat and Bishop Franklin kind of pointed out as well as why don't we have kind of an offensive identity Well, because Arbuckle was brought in to be an air raid coach, the problem is if you don't have the personnel for it, you're kind of just making plays and you're just hoping for the best for it. Some of it is stubbornness, some of it is they are going to stick with that come hell or high water. We are going to put the square and the circle peg essentially. But some of it too is like they may not know what to do at this point because if you don't have a tight end like how Arbuckle is used to using tight ends, we don't have a tight end room. That's
And I
taken out
think
a lot of his play calling.
and I think that's probably a part of the reason too why they're going with this air raid sort of issue. It's because we don't really have a tight end, and that's why we probably have to go with four wide receivers, with the most part, or have a three receiver two back combo.
Correct. Correct. And for me, a lot of it too, because like keeps I keep screaming of like how much confidence do they have in their players, but then again, it's also like
It also comes
and
back down to the coaching and the recruiting. That's the other
and
issue too.
the coaching, the recruiting, and the development. Don't forget the development as well.
And
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 we
that's
have
been the
not done
big.
that. And many of those, that's where I'm like, for some stuff, I forgive Bill on. There hasn't been development though. Even with some of them, it seems like it's just pushing through with raw natural talent. Some of that seems true. Some of it just seems like they're busts. Like Dion Burks is a bust. Ott is for sure a bust. I would say Mateer, based on what you paid him, he's a bust. Like, who knows though for it? Like, there's so many little factors, and it's death of 1,000 cuts at that point. But those 1,000 cuts build up. It's just like uh in the games and stuff. Yes, there are going to be momentum swings. There are going to be things that go back and there are going to be momentum swings. There's going to be little things, but when it starts piling up, clock is being drained. Players are on the field longer. Mistakes begin to pile up at that point. It's also why, like, in some respects, I don't blame
Yeah,
some of them. I do.
yeah, and
So,
especially when the fact that you're starting to go three and out, and even though your defense is holding them to 3 points and everything almost every single time, it's like you can only take so much that your defense can allow with those 3 points to where it almost becomes insurmountable, and especially with the offense that we have. And the
yeah,
other problem that I have too is that you can only get so many bright spots of anything, but yet you keep getting surrounded by yourself because you keep falling back into old habits. We need to
yeah.
find a way to basically get into these better habits. I think if anything, I would probably look at, okay, so we are getting beat very much in the interior part of our offensive line. And okay, and I'm just saying that because just for this game, for instance, okay, what do we need to do to strengthen within that interior? Do we need to go ahead and basically, and I'm just rambling on.
You
You just
go
got to
buy
be able to find.
players.
Yeah, you go not only go buy players, but how do you do it scheme wise? Especially with the fact that with that offensive line, you're not getting the very push you need. You need to find a way to beat yourself with leverage. And look, and I know you hate jet sweeps, Josh. I know you do. But if your offensive line is having issues with the interior and stuff like that, and I know it's not a favorite idea of anything. I'm not saying like for a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, but maybe on the first play or something like that, you either do like some sort of hitch pass, or and I know you hate jet sweeps, but you might have to try a jet sweep to just try and give yourself leverage to give your offensive line a bit of that breather. Mix it up to where you have to kind of defend on different sides of the field.
I look at it as I hate them because we don't have even a decent O line to hold for a minute, like for 1 second to at least let it develop for it. That's why I hate jet sweeps. It's why I hate quarterback draws right now because the way I see it is if you have the line and you toss it, that's 2 seconds already that they've already got pushed on you. It's going to fail anyway. That's how I'm seeing it. I know that's a very, very, very surface level. That's a very broad take on it. But that's why I hate it because it doesn't do anything. You might as well at that point do the quarterback draw with it. But then you risk your quarterback getting injured.
Yeah. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's how I
Correct.
look at it. So it's like it's not that I don't disagree with you, Josh. It's like what else are you gonna do? And especially with an offensive line that you feel like gets stagnant.
Correct. Well, it's like I keep saying, it's like to me, yesterday was the epitome of where we are missing stuff in the SEC at this point. I think Brent, who in a half with the defense, did get cooked. Brent was getting cooked a little bit in the first half from Lane Kiffin. And that's a very valid take. They scored. They made the D line kind of a joke yesterday. Um, I think obviously the O line, we saw that yesterday where we just do not have the guys, the personnel to have even just a little bit of push. I see it with the wide receivers where there's no guy who's really just stepped up to be that number one receiver, which has caused a lot of problems for Mateer. But then again, Mateer is just a jag. He's not this incredible comparison and everything that uh or he's not this incredible comparison to Baker like a lot of people tried to make him out to be with it. Hence why I have always said I don't believe stuff out of fall camp. Like this is the best team ever. They're doing. I don't believe that shit. Like show it to me on the field. And remember my rule of thumb, Gavin. You struggle in the first game. That's already a bad sign for the rest of the season. There's some rare exceptions, but not with this Oklahoma staff at this point. Guess what? We struggled against Illinois State. It
Yeah,
hasn't changed. We may be
yeah,
bowl eligible, cool, but we beat teams we were like that have been like injured or one dimensional. Michigan was one dimensional. Uh, South Carolina was basically hoping for the best that they made friends along the way, and Auburn had Jackson Arnold, where they lost because of Jackson Arnold. Like you're facing more competent teams. That's why I don't have any faith in other than this Saturday against Tennessee. Why? Give me a reason why they're going to beat Tennessee in a hostile environment. Oh, because Brent Venables has faced Josh Heupel's teams before and he knows how to scheme. Cool. He's done that with Lane too, and Lane beat him.
yeah.
What do
I
we
mean,
have
you
now?
can only talk about the defense so much, but it's basically. I mean, you can
Oh,
only talk
and that
about so much with the defense, but it's like, what can you do? So,
right, and that's the same thing of what I mentioned as well with like the coaches and stuff. That's also with Arbuckle too. His age finally caught up with him. Of his inexperience, his lack of being at a place and getting solidified, finally caught up with him yesterday. Of he didn't know what to do. It looked like, and it finally was the you got to get some experience under your belt, bud. You may be 29, and it's worked at other places. This isn't going to fly in the SEC, dude. And it finally caught up with him. That's also why I said I didn't believe that Arbuckle was going to go to any other school because of his lack of like his commitment to many other schools, like staying there longer than a year or two. It's showing. His inexperience is showing at that point. And,
yeah,
and
it's
and Gavin, the biggest thing I'm going to ask you, where am I
okay.
wrong? Where am I wrong from the past 57 minutes and 51 seconds? Have I said anything that's been wrong or something that you do not agree with? And that's not the full story.
There's not really anything I disagree with at all. Everything we've pretty much have both said has been pretty much been on point and true. I mean, there's not really anything. It's the same stuff that we've been going through within the last, like you said, the last 57 minutes or so on the stream, but also within the last several years as well.
Yeah, and I'll say it too. I think it needs to be said just to get it out there. Michael Hawkins was not the answer either. Like I know that's been in the back of my mind. I believe the most Michael could have done is give Mateer a breather, like kind of like what they did when they benched Radler a while back. Just get a moment, find yourself again, get like focus back in the game, kind of get a read. That to me is the success of it. But Michael Hawkins, I was riding high on like, all right, Arbuckle did fix some of the stuff with it, which he did. I give credit on some of the stuff that Arbuckle was willing to do. And it does work against lesser teams. But
Uh,
and I thought that would have worked against Hawkins. When Hawkins played against who was it, Kent State,
Kent
it
State.
showed he's not good. He's just as bad. And I hate that, but he's bad. That's why he's not the answer for it. So like he ain't gonna be it. It's gonna be he is a nice story. It sucks that he was so committed to OU. He gonna be in the transfer portal.
Yeah, there's just no other way around it, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think if anything, you really need to focus on getting linemen in the portal. And I know we got some freshmen, that are both coming in. You got got the four, two local Okie boys that are going to be in, being committed.
Yeah.
within a while. So, you're going to have some step up on all that. But the problem is right now is that what you need the instant fix, and they're trying to go with this long organic, but you need something that's, very instant that can keep stability. And right
Yeah.
now, where is the stability for the most part? I
On the
mean, it's
defensive
like
side
you,
of the ball,
I mean, this on a defensive side, yes, but where is it offensively?
there
Where do you
isn't.
see the offensively?
Let's break
I
it
mean,
down. Let's go through it. Let's go through it. We can go through it. Arbuckle, do you think he is solid? Do you think he is the answer to what we were looking for?
I would say as
And
of
I'm just saying
now,
yes and no. I'm saying yes, no. Not
no,
not to muddy the waters or anything, but just as a simple yes, no.
okay, yeah, I was just saying as of now, no.
I will agree with you. I think it's a no because I think Arbuckle is the Timu Mike Leach, and I think that he does not have enough experience. And I think he will. I think actually he will grow into that. I see a lot of potential. I
Hmm.
don't think he
I
has the
agree.
personnel for that, and I don't think he has the experience for it. I also think it's air raid. I'm tired of the air raid. Move on from the air raid, guys. Like, I'm sorry, the air raid is definitely you have to have Baker Mayfield, D.D. Westbrook, C.D. Lamb, that type of personnel to make it work. It don't work. It's time to move on from it, and I'm tired of relying on the air raid. And I could vent about that for another hour. So he's not the answer. I would say Mateer, it is what it is. I think Mateer is literally he is your air quote answer, but it's a well, you got what you got from the portal. That was the best you could do. I'm not going to really throw Mateer under the bus for that because that's all it was because it was a lot worse options. It was you paid enough for a step down from Dylan Gabriel, in my opinion, because it was a
But
lot
I think
worse.
the other point of it too, and I want to make sure we point this out too, because I feel like a lot of the issue with Arbuckle was also part with Mateer as well. Because they both came from Washington State. That was the other part of it that it was also in the mix as well. Not saying it was
Yeah,
the total reason, but just also one part of the reason as well. So it's like it was kind of a double combo, basically of getting both of them in. So it's like you had to get
correct.
one with the other. So that
Correct,
was
correct.
just
And I also will say that I don't think they were SEC ready. I don't think they were ready for that level of competition, and it shows. It shows.
Mhm.
So Arbuckle, he's not the guy. Now, am I ready to throw him under the bus? No, because he doesn't have the personnel. I want to see a little bit more. Like, give me something more to work with before I make that decision. It's unfair for me to say he did after that, unless it's a Seth Luttrell situation where it's very clear with your eyes this ain't working out. This isn't. That's not the case with Arbuckle. I'm not there yet, but I'm definitely
Yeah.
going. There are other better OSUs, but I don't know who you go get. Obviously we're in agreement. Joe John Finley, no,
No, he's
he is
he's
not
he's
the
get
answer.
he's got to go. And honestly, it's like if you can't get the guys in state, then you're not don't even need to be doing it.
Correct. He needs to go. That is one of the most simplest one. He is stealing money from the university being on this staff. He's a horrible coach. Get rid of him. There's no reason. Okay, so let's move on to Marco. Where are you at with DeMarco?
DeMarco could just get out of his own ass. And I hate to say this, DeMarco has been so bad at rotations. I just don't think he's the guy.
And to your credit, Gavin, to your credit, I want the chat to realize this. You are way more schooled on schemes and player development than I wish I could be. So you see the little things that pile up for it. So you know the technical details of like when you say like with DeMarco stuff. So you said no with DeMarco because of rotations. I agree with you. And I would even go like some of it's not his fault because it falls on the O line. The O line has to
And
be good. A good O line will make a mediocre running back look good. It will give your quarterback time to throw. Yes, I understand that. But DeMarco's problem is what you exactly said. His rotations do not make sense. His player choice does not make sense. And I think you and I can both agree the development of the running back room is atrocious.
it is. I mean, look, even like when Tolly Walker left the two, he was doing good at Wisconsin at one point too. And so it's like a lot of that, has to fall back on DeMarco, if anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so crazy about it. It's like, you know, and especially for a guy who basically played in the NFL for so many years, with the with the Cowboys for a few years, and then coming back to coach. You would think that would be a lot more of experience and all that to help these guys out and everything. When in fact he's just been basically been our own roadblock in the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think he has not committed to any running back, and he's ran off players, in my opinion, too. Tolly is a great example of that. The guys that are giving you life, why are they not on the field? And in my opinion, that's kind of an Arbuckle needs to swing his authority around and say, dude, I'm the OC. This is who we're running with. DeMarco, if you got a problem with it, go touch grass and leave. At some point, it's DeMarco, you answer to Arbuckle, not the other way around. I don't care what your experience is. You're an assistant coach. You're not the OC. So that's
And
DeMarco.
don't forget, like DeMarco's like what in his 40s or so and everything, and Arbuckle's like 29.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, that kind of tells you something right there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's with DeMarco and stuff. You can be a great player. Does not translate means you're a great coach and vice versa. Like where people talk about like players like kiddos. Just because their parents are great does not mean their kids are. And that's okay. That's okay to admit a failure of it. So we already have those two coaches or three coaches out of the way. Bill Bean and Bo, where are you at with him? Yes, no.
Man, this was a struggle. I'm gonna admit it's a struggle because part of me wants to say yes because of some of the some of the success and everything, but it's like as of now, no. It's a struggle. I'm really
Yeah.
struggling with beating Bo because he has some players that have gone really well, and being able to coach through and all this and everything, and yet he's just been on on some time on some bit of a regression lately. He's had maybe one or two players, that's gone, but then there's just been not any sort of consistency, if anything.
I am at the you don't
I
keep him.
really am struggling. It's
I'm at the no, and this is my reason.
no,
I
I'm
understand stuff working in the background. I understand there was stuff working against him. My honest big thing is he's been here since I think what 2013, 2014. Rule of thumb is coaches should only be there 10 years. Otherwise they start getting burnt out. I think it's time for him to go. I think it's shown that he's not
okay.
connecting with the players. He's not developing the players, obviously. It's time for him to go. I don't,
Okay.
and in my opinion, I and feel free to throw me under the bus with this saying this. I don't think he's developing Fasusi well. I think Fasusi is developing himself, but I don't see that jump happening right now with Fasusi. So that's enough for me to say,
Yeah,
Bill, it's time for you to go.
yeah. I mean, right now, Fasusi's been only been the bright spot of anything, but that's the only one I can really see. And he had his fifth start, and then he basically put in a right tackle who was making his first official start for the game,
Yeah,
which that's almost a losing situation right there. Even if he
yeah,
was improving, okay, even if he was improving, you put him in a losable situation and making your first start at right tackle as a first start.
correct. Other
Now,
one,
if it was
Emmett
if it
Jones.
was if it was injuries or stuff, I can give a little bit. But if you were trying to start him, for the sake of starting him, then no, it's not
Sure,
worth it.
sure. Next one, uh, Emmett Jones. Where are you at with Emmett?
Emmett Jones is not the guy, and when you basically don't really have receivers that basically are doing what they need to, despite the stuff attack, it's not going to be the same when you're in the SEC. Big 12 stuff is not going to cut it in the SEC, especially when you need the physicality. And especially the
Correct.
problem that I'm having is that, and this is where I kind of have this, and this is somewhat of my rule of thumb. If you can't block, you're not going to get the rock. And right now, I
Correct.
don't have the issues of sometimes the blocking's just not there, and I've even been being seen even within the other players that are in the SEC. They are getting physical, not just with catches, but also blocking and going downfield. And if we don't have that physicality, then you don't need to be on the field at all.
Correct. I would go as far to say with Emmett Jones, I'm also at the he needs to go. And the reason is I don't think he's really done anything egregious. but he's not recruiting well, and the development of the room is not that good. I'm not going to say he's a waste of space because I don't believe that. Even deep down, I don't believe that. But there's nothing like he's like a jag of coaches. Like he's just there at this point. So like that's your entire offensive staff, dude. That we both just went through and said no, you do not keep them. As a side note, Gavin, and I saw that it was official 39 minutes ago. Brian Kelly has been let go of LSU. I know
Yeah,
earlier in the chat that Thunder Sooner was mentioning it, but now it is official. Which
yep, it
look,
was.
guys,
But
everyone saw that coming because the moment he was hired, because Brian Kelly's is a fraud of a coach, just like Charlie Weiss was. Like
yep.
and when I use coaches of like, here's your billboard of people that are frauds, they're frauds.
And I think what's ironic is that we actually got beat by Charlie Weiss Jr. as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's irony for it, but that's also
I'm
why,
sorry.
and I don't think why I still don't have faith that we'll beat LSU because we'll be working with new stuff, and I think they're going to have some new stuff they're going to roll out. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just crazy.
yeah. Um, Yeah. So that's your entire offensive side of the ball at this point. But whose fault is that? That we still have a lot of those. That falls on Brent.
Brent.
Yes, and some of that is players are not making plays. I fully acknowledge that. That is not on Arbuckle. If you call the play and he does not see that Satania is wide open or Burks is wide
Hmm.
open, that's where I'm like a little bit with Emmett Jones, where it's like, well, they are getting open though. It's Mateer's not seeing them. That's where I'm like, oh man, that's tough. But like if you're going to do the entire staff, you might as well do the entire staff for it at that point. Um,
Yeah,
but even then, it's like I don't blame him, but it's rough, man. It's rough.
it is.
But then again, I feel like
It
again,
really is.
you
I
get rid
just
of the
really have
entire
a hard
staff.
time just wanting to be able to.
Well, it's like Gavin. What kills me? Why is it that Bixby, for
Yeah, it.
example, is having more success than OU is when OU has more money and more capabilities? Like at some point, you're going, dude. A high school is having more success in state uh uh
Oh my
than the actual
gosh! Yeah.
college. Where and right now OU has to
I,
at this point, in my opinion, OU has to embrace the money is not an object. You don't want to get into that debt, sure.
yeah.
Money's not an object, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say, kind of going back to the Bixby thing, it's like I kind of laugh because Lauren Montgomery has built the title, powerhouse that's been going on for like what 10 plus years, if anything, over in this side of the state. And the fact is that they've been scoring. Well, the last game was like probably like the first game that they've scored under 40 points, which was like by 39-22 against Mustang. You know,
Yeah,
and of course it was the rain, rain and all that was kind of being a little bit of a factor and everything, which that's given and all that and everything. But
correct.
I think what makes it interesting is that with Bixby they have basically where all the players have basically played in the same system, you know, probably for quite a few years and everything, and it's kind of gone on strong and everything. And some of that you can relate that to college and everything, and the problem is like there's no culmination in like we talk about with like identity to where you can basically said this is how the team should play with the personnel that we have. And I just have a hard time to say basically what fruits are you really wanting to try and do. You can't make, and this is going to be a weird cooking situation. You just cannot cook like some, cook spaghetti with just basically like with some fettuccine noodles along with like just with with garlic. It's like
Yeah,
you got to have like some tomato sauce. You just don't have the ingredients that are all there. And it's like if you don't have the ingredients there, if anything, then there's no way you can really have a stunning dish or anything like that.
yeah, yeah. I think the cooking comparison is great. I think that is a as others put it, we're working with a paper clip, some used chewed up bubble gum, a potential rubber band that may or may not break, and you're just hoping that whatever you come up with that it works. The cooking comparison is a great one for this offense at this point. I mean, I won't lie, Gavin. When I came home yesterday, like again, it's someone put it, Scoop put it this way, where why is it we're now at the point where we say that uh well, that's just a thing at Oklahoma when we lose versus what 10 years ago under Bob, where it was unacceptable to lose at home, even with the change in landscape of college football. Like that to me is a sign of like being worn out. Because even I got home, I'm angry in the sense of we lost. Yes, you lose, but I'm angry about how we lost. You know what I did? I turned on Pokemon and played Pokemon and beat the living shit out of the NPC trainers because at least I felt like a winner doing that. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's where we're at. Like that's where the fan base, the fans are getting tired too, of getting called out, and the team just not doing anything.
Yeah, and a lot of that will also come to be the fact, and I will say this: this is going to be whenever we get to the off season. This is going to be Jim Nagy's first actual test and everything. It's like, look, we are seeing all these problems here, and we need to go ahead and do this right now, or there's going to be some serious issues. And I
Yeah,
really want to be able to see Nagy have his footprint. It's like, look, I understand first year you're trying to get a feel for things. I can somewhat get it, but I need to see some sort of pressure, if anything. I need to
and
see something
correct,
within that. I
and
mean,
that's
look,
why I say,
as
Gavin, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, I just feel like if you're a general manager at this point, and look, I know Brent Venables is taking care of the football program substance and everything, that's fine. But Nagy needs to be able to have some sort of, pressure and everything, not, just not only with, not really just the coach's size, but also dealing with administrator or whatever the case is, help on the side within the finances. Because we also need to make sure that we have some sort of deal to where we're going to be competing, week in and week out. Because next year we're going into basically a not, 9-game SEC schedule, and you know that the gauntlet is going to get fear, more tougher and tougher and tougher every single year.
Yeah, and to bring the full circle of all this background, because guess what? When we lose again in an embarrassing fashion, we're just gonna. It's you know what I feel like I'm at, and I feel like this is the perfect analogy to bring everything circle back from our deja vu time warp Groundhog's Day loss to Old Miss at this point. Full circle around. Will Brent Venables do the thing? Will he actually be a head coach and fire the offensive staff? Or will he be forced, just like with Seth Luttrell, goes above his head to make that change? Because if he doesn't do it, at least in my opinion, if Joe John and DeMarco at minimum are not gone, if you want to say, hey, we really don't want to fire the entire offensive staff because that's a lot of money that we have to spend, sure. If we want to say that, fine, fine. Keep Emmett
Okay.
Jones, keep Bill Beatenbow. But is Brent Venables going to take the initiative and be the ones be like, bros, start searching. It's time. Start searching. Oh, I forgot, Gavin. Well, I'll circle with that and then I'll follow up. Um, and I'll tie it all in because if Brent Venables doesn't, he's not the guy, and you need to rip that band-aid off now. Again, there has to be personnel changes, and it has to start with those two. And we can talk about Bill, and we can talk about Emmett Jones another time. Because all it is when we lose again, inevitably, like probably to Tennessee, we'll find a way to lose. We're going to be just like Madden football. We're going to be saying this entire dang thing again of what is there to repeat at this point? It's going to be the same grade every single time until you change the in-game graphics for Madden 25 from Madden 2021 and actually update stuff, you should expect the same result. Which is why yesterday, Gavin, I had no problems, and I was one of them. I will absolutely stand by it, and I will take this credit for it. I was one of the people on the quarterback draw, and there was something else. There was two of them, and I booed because those were horrible play calls. They need to hear that. They need to hear that from your fan base that bros step it up because otherwise, like I use with the Madden analogy, you're going to get more boos at home and it's going to get louder and it's going to. And I think that's, again, going to be another hallmark of Brent Venables' tenure at Oklahoma at this point. I'm ranted out. I think we've covered a lot of the Old Miss stuff. I think we covered as much as we can from the chat as well. Chat, if you want to throw any last minute questions or anything, please throw it in. We will circle back around at this point. I think we've briefly covered everything because we not only have we vented, we've also kind of briefly went through like why things failed yesterday. Now, if you're wanting stuff that's
Yeah.
way more in depth, you got to go to Gabe and Teddy for them. They're the players. They're the ones that have done it. I am not the person. Gavin, it absolutely is. But even then, we're even limited on our knowledge for it. But Gavin,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm pretty much just kind of know more of like my X's and O's more than anything, and understand the scheme and stuff and everything for the most part. But I am not really any way of a player by any means whatsoever. But a lot of it is just like I've watched a lot of analysis and all that and everything over the years, so it's like I just kind of keep up with like what's going on and just
but
kind of play the numbers and leverage game.
that said, then why, Gavin, is it that we know how to put players in good positions on our own fantasy teams versus what we're watching on the field at that point? Yeah, of course,
I don't.
Jimmy. Like again, we're here as best as we can. We're fans. We want our teams to succeed, but the voices are getting louder. And I know people are saying, Gavin, and you understand it now. I think last year you were a little on the fence with it, but now it's a bros. I get it. You can't defend Brent anymore on it. It's a look. If this was this year too, there's a lot of guys let him cook. It's year 4. Why are we making rookie head coaching mistakes again with time management, with player discipline, with boneheaded calls? Like why finding ways to lose? Why is this still a thing? Because it's not growth. So, Gavin, I know we went almost hour and 30 minutes. If anything, we have about 9 minutes left before we fully wrap up for it. But is there anything else we've missed? I know there was some stuff that happened week 9. Like, I know Alabama survived South Carolina. I know people are going to say, well, is Alabama that good or South Carolina that bad? It's not. Like, it's an SEC game. Like, Alabama's not that bad,
Any
guys. They play down to their opponent. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, and that's the problem. Bama has always had a tendency, whenever it's a lesser team, they will always play down to the opponent. I mean, we saw that with Florida State, but then it was like,
Under
oh crap.
DeBauer, not under Nick
Yeah,
Saban.
no, 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 not, no, I'm not. Yeah, under the Bauer, not Nick Saban, just under the Bauer. Okay, but just, it's like we've seen that time, and quite a few times. They did it at the OU last year, and then of course they've did it to Florida State, and
Yeah,
same with South Carolina. You know, it's just like if you start doing that, and I hate saying that wanting to compare it to the 21 team. That's what the 21 team did, where they were always playing down to their opponent, and basically got
yeah,
themselves burned almost every single time. You know,
yeah.
and even if you're a good team, if you start playing down to your opponent, you're going to get yourself burned.
Correct. And again, that's what happened was Alabama was just playing down, and probably Beamer was coaching for his job. Yeah, we could talk back and forth on that muff punt type of deal for it. And South Carolina probably should have won. But again, good teams find a way to win. Bad teams find a way to lose. They found a bad way
Yeah,
to lose. I know we mentioned it. Jackson Arnold got benched at Auburn. Like that's what happened. I the one that's the most amusing for me is I screamed this from the mountaintops. And at some point, it's a look. I'm a redditor. I read the Reddit stuff. Like at some point, you have to go. Gosh, you guys are so fucking stupid. Like for commenters, like people saying like, why did they choose Mizzou and Vandy? And I outright say the reason why they chose them, guys, there was better games this week. Old Miss and OU was a better game than Missouri and Vandy.
yeah,
Like because neither of those teams are going to be relevant in the SEC championship. There was better places to go to. It's also why like why what's it called? They didn't go to. There was another place I forgot that they weren't didn't go to, but that's why. And it's like okay, they just picked a place. They probably didn't want
yeah.
Bama again. Maybe they
I,
didn't have faith in OU, but like
oh,
guys,
or
they are
going like
either of
to
those
A and
teams.
M LSU. That was an interesting talk about and
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. It was just like a there was no they weren't going to do these like the historic black college. They weren't going to do that this week, guys. There were better. There was like bigger games at that point, but Mizzou and
or
Vandy
going
like
to North Dakota, South Dakota State.
which was a loser one anyway because North Dakota was going to run over South Dakota. Like everyone saw that coming, myself included. But that's why it's
Yep,
just
yep.
like Vandy and Mizzou have no impact on what's going to happen to to make it to Atlanta. It's Alabama's, Georgia's, Ole Miss's, and Texas A&M's to lose. Both of
Yeah.
those teams have no impact. Texas almost lost to Kentucky, which is going to be a more maddening one for OU every single game of we should have probably won that game against Texas. But then again, we probably maybe shouldn't have played Mateer. Maybe he was more injured. I don't know. But they escaped another one. Like if there's a team that is so fucking lucky, it's Texas right now. And hey, they found a way to win.
And
I
that,
would have I'd be
and now their
hypocritical.
next and now their next matchup is against Vanderbilt, and it's at Texas.
Yeah, and I think Vandy can win. And that's what I keep saying is I know people keep saying that no one would poach Vanderbilt. Yeah, I think they would poach Vanderbilt. I think that head coach has opportunities. I think he is going to be one of those
But but the problem
openings.
I think the biggest part of it is because of Diego Pereira. If anything, I think that's a lot more of it. If anything,
Oh yeah, I could see that. I could
okay.
absolutely see that.
Here's the problem. The problem is before Diego Pereira. Do you think that that same coach and everything would still be much more of an opportunity and everything, or do you think it's more of a Diego Pereira event?
I would say it's a bit of both. I think Diego's really good, and I think that coach is really good. And I think Diego has a lot of personnel around him. I think you could plug and play a solid quarterback and get the same ish results. I do think that's where Diego, being like a 7th-year player, is affecting that at that point.
Which honestly, I can't not believe how many years he's been already. Which I think is probably the most astounding for me. It's like, how do you have this many years as a college football player?
Yeah.
Like, I
Quit
want to
playing
know who your
college and go get a
agent
real
is.
job.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna getting at. Wait, okay, wait. You're going for what a wait? You're wanting to get a PhD and still want to play college football? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Come on in.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's fighting for trying to get uh what's it called?
The chancellor.
The no. The JUCO thing to be eligibility thing to be completely eliminated. So where it's like, dude,
Uh,
you got an exemption, just get away with it.
yeah.
But the biggest one
I
for me is like, it's just like right now, uh, Gavin, in the same comparison that I had with what's it called? Um, I was trying to remember it, and I just said it about Texas and stuff like that of like trying to make things work. Oh, it was the Mizzou and Vandy thing. I'm tired because we're hitting
Mizzou and
that
Vandy.
90 minute. It's just like Notre Dame people pushing that Love's going to win the Heisman. I'm like, dudes, it's late October. It's done. It's not going to be him because I hate to tell you, there's 2 people above him, and it's going to be Diego and one of the guys from Texas A&M, or I'm sorry, there's 3, and Ty Simpson. Guess what, guys? 2 of those 3 are having literal, not just like, oh, we're saying it like, oh yeah, it just happens. They're having literal historic seasons. Love ain't
Yeah,
gonna
I
get it,
think
dudes.
the
Let it go.
yeah, yeah. I think I kind of give the bit of the edge to Diego right now.
And it's not even Diego's right now. Like he's in 4th. The ones that are above him, and oh, I'm sorry, there's more. And then Indiana's. They're having literal historic seasons. Right now, the top 3 are Ty Simpson from Alabama, Mendoza from Indiana, and Sayan from Ohio State. Diego is 4th. Gunnar Stockton from Georgia is 5th, and then Jeremiah Love is 6th. And they're going to give it to a quarterback before they give it to a running back. We can argue left and right for it, but the problem is what Sean has always said: you have to have the Heisman moment, and he's not going to have that on this based on this schedule. The opponents they have faced that they could have beaten with Texas A&M, and I forgot who else it was for Notre Dame. They didn't, and there's no one on the schedule worth a damn that they're going to point to, and he doesn't have the story. It's not going to be Love, and they can be bitchy, moany, gripey all they want. It's the truth. Love it. Love will probably get an invite potentially if he gets into the top 5. Oh, I forgot Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's the other one too, and I would put Georgia Tech above Jeremiah Love because Georgia Tech hasn't done this in forever. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Where it's like, guys, it's late October. It's done. He's not going to get it now. Notre Dame, kudos to them. They'll probably make it to the playoff, which everyone wrote them off as dead. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Gavin, I'm just as I will say on this game, I am as disappointed as them revealing that Halo is for PlayStation 5. That's how disappointed I am in all this.
Man, that's just such a bummer, honestly.
Yep, yep. So I'm as disappointed as a person in Pokemon Go catching a shiny legendary and finding out it is a 0%er. That's how disappointed I am of yesterday. Just
Mm,
another bookmark on Brent Venables of first times, and you can't take care of the ball, or you can't do it. You can't do it. So,
well,
Gavin, any final thoughts or anything, buddy, before we wrap up?
um, all I can just say is that I just want to make sure I got my can from a jar, corn from a jar, if anything, and make sure that we can get out of Rocky Top alive, if anything, at this point. I don't
Yeah, we'll
expect us
see.
to win, but I just feel like, if anything, I'm gonna be expecting some sort of crazy orange fanatic fireworks light show, if anything, at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I'm at the conclusion, Gavin, that because the old high school is doing well, that's why OU is losing. That has no correlation at all outside of like, there's you can look at it and say, uh, what's it called? Not causation, whatever the word is, or but there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, yeah, that's why. That's what I'm going to blame it on. So, Gavin, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I want to thank the chat as usual. You've been wonderful, guys. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live or upload a video. Yes, we will have a live stream on Wednesday. We didn't really last week because we kind of did a brief overview of Ole Miss last Sunday, so there was no reason to have it Wednesday, but we will this week because there's still a lot to talk about. There's a lot of movement. We'll see what happens. We'll try to get Swiggy and Sean onto the show at that point. But guys, again, spread the word. We're at 239 subscribers. Let's try to get those numbers pumped. Spread it to your friends. We want to see people interact in the chat. We want to have lots of conversation. We want to be able to have your questions in the chat and talk about them. It adds to the show and it also lets us like have a lot of conversations. So again, guys, we'll be back Wednesday as we are because we're just beating down fans at this point. And maybe we're a little irrational, but hey, that's why we're called fans. If I don't have the live stream just in case, I hope everybody has a very, very happy Halloween. For those of you traveling to Tennessee, you are braver than I am. Godspeed to whatever that results could be, and who knows, maybe they surprise us. For now, just make sure that your Halloween candy is the good candy, not the Timu or the great value stuff. So, guys, Boomer Sooner. There's only one. Gavin, thank you for joining me, and we'll see y'all next time on the OU Flag Guys post game or pre game live stream. See y'all.
See ya.